Okay, well, welcome to the Five Star Podcast. It's a funny old day as we record this week's podcast after the disappointment of the weekend. Of course, there's quite a fallout from what happened after the final whistle. Neither Celtic nor Rangers have issued a statement yet in relation to the goings on. I don't really want to get caught up in the arbitrary in the circumstance until we see how this shapes up a wee bit. We have seen the evidence of the Broomloan stand, and that perhaps tells its own story. There's also been a line come out from the police saying the numbers were never workable. Now, after the event, for the police to say that is quite alarming. So while we wait on the full investigation, we await the reaction from both Rangers, Celtic, and an in-depth report from the SFA. I think we'll park it for the moment and focus on the football aspect. With 9 huge games to come, Danny Rose himself has said his 9 cup finals, has to win them. And then after we get a bit of clarity on the circumstance of what happened at Ibrox on the Sunday in the semi-final of the Cup, we can perhaps take a deeper dive into what's happened at that time. However, I would like Barry and Ian's reaction, as ever, joining us in the Five Star Podcast. Although we Russell Latapi off the bench last week, I would just like that first reaction to the police saying the numbers, Barry, were never going to work.
Well, they were working 7 years ago, 8 years ago. So yeah, it was a baffling statement. They've worked it before. We knew it was what was coming up with the allocation of 7,500. So yeah, I was a bit baffled when I seen that or when I heard that statement from the police.
Yeah, we just await the clubs, Ian. But if the police after the event are saying they weren't organised, well, they were inviting trouble effectively.
Of course, there was. It's a strange comment, considering now they agreed with the SFA and the compliance officer to allow now the amount of fans in. So they must have thought they've got their numbers right when which they allow in. So as it's baffling. And now what happened at the end up now is just, it's no use to anybody, is it?
Yeah, it is very sad in the indictment of the current situation. Forgetting about 2016 Cup final, going back to the 1980 Cup final, we saw similar unsavoury scenes. But we do need a full investigation to fully understand why it happened, how it happened, and how it was allowed to happen. But Rangers didn't make the semi-finals, as was a great opportunity to progress in the tournament. Where did it go wrong? For me, we dominated possession. The final third, we were just lacking, Barry.
Yeah, I agree. We were so dominant, and I'm talking about extra time as well. We just went ruthless, Tom, in the final third. Yeah, I don't think I've been at an Old Firm game in a long time where you've been dominant for that length of time, over 120 minutes. And yeah, that's why it's a sore one, you know what I mean? Then it goes into penalties. Obviously, we miss the first one. Listen, it can happen in football, but I did say before this game that whoever won the game, I'll get a right boost of confidence, and I was desperate for obviously Rangers to do that. We didn't do that, and now it's all about the reactions. Now we've got, as you mentioned, and I think Danny Rose said it in his presser, there's 9 cup finals. I think Rangers have to win the 9 games.
If we've any ambition for silverware,
they have to win them. Yeah.
Ian, we roll back to before a ball was kicked on Sunday prior to 1 o'clock. Team came out, thought, yeah, that team is more than capable of getting the job done. So again, what was the missing link?
Putting the ball away. That you see now, Barry's spot on the amount and what you said, the amount of possession we had. But there's got to be an edge to it. There's got to be a cutting edge. There's got to be something coming off it. Now I think there were between 12, maybe 14 corners, a couple of half chances. But when you've got that amount of possession, and now you've got, I think it was 18 shots in target, but really without really troubling the keeper, and just at the handball, we never where it really mattered. I don't think we hurt ourselves to go into the areas we were going to hurt Celtic. And now I heard the manager saying the 9 cup finals. It should have been 11 cup finals. We should be in the semi-final, and obviously hopefully getting to the final. But it was a mass disappointment. Now, when you overlook now the 2 games, that was a really missed opportunity for Rangers, I think. And just gutted for the players now, because it's not often the cup finals that come along, and we've not been really lately. And big missed opportunity, and you're at the game and you're basically now you're trying to blow the ball into the goal, because it was a bit tippy tappy
Yeah.
rather than now going where, as I said now, putting balls in where people are going to go and hurt themselves, and I just never seen that for Rangers.
I had the briefest of chats with James Tavernier after the match, and to say he was troubled, he was broken, it probably doesn't even hit the mark. You could see how visibly upset he was, and as you said, you would put your mortgage on him scoring that. Although you'll not know what a mortgage is, Barry. You put your mortgage on him scoring that first particular penalty. For me, a lot of our body language in the build-up to the kicks for the mark gave a lot away.
Yeah, it did, especially when Tav stepped him up for the first one. Look, MD can miss a penalty, but as you said, you would put everything you had on Tav. Look, you could see after the game, as a captain should be, came out and he spoke. You could see he was hurting. He takes a lot of that responsibility. Again, he'll get criticised, but listen, it shows more of what type of character he is when he stepped up in that moment. But you're right, the body language, where just watching it, I felt we don't look confident here, which is obviously a worrying sign when you go into penalties. But just overall, for being so dominant, it was a missed opportunity. Just what Durrant said there, they were there for the taking, and when you look at it, it's not the best Celtic team I've seen for a long time. Yep, they were missing a lot of important players. I just thought they were there for the taking. They were there for the taking.
100%. There was a couple of huge VAR calls. Incidentally, I want to come back and talk about the captaincy shortly, because we've had no consistency there either.
Yep.
But 2 huge VAR calls in, and I think this week they were both on the money.
I think the one in the first half, it connects with his hand. Other time you're seeing that going to VAR, but for some reason, again, the referee doesn't want to entertain. So obviously it's came from whoever, I think it was Stuart McLean, saying it's not a thing about
Andrew Dallas, I think.
Andrew Dallas. So the contentious decisions, and again, either way, and any other given day, we get the decisions, but we never got them. But over the piece, with the amount of ball we had, we never created anything near enough what we were capable of doing. And I think that'll be disappointing for the manager, because I think now you've probably seen the players now where they want to go. I know where everybody wants to go, but can the players take us to that level? Now that was, as I said, 2 big opportunities we missed out in there, and they could be defining. Now we're out the cup, we're now behind in the league, so we've got to go and chase that, and we need to go now get another run, which is capable of winning silverware.
Looking for positives, Manny Fernandez, who we thought had got the goal for us, but was chopped off by VAR as the ball somewhere feathered his arm. We questioned what we had when he signed in the summer from Peterborough. He's now got 6 goals for the season, and he's looking a real fixture at the heart of the defence. Yes, he leaves your heart in your mouth on occasion, a wee drag back here and a blue light pass. But how would you assess his improvement, Barry, in the period that since he's been called in the first day?
Huge. When he first came in, there was a few mistakes, but then again, rusty, no played a lot of football. He's grew on me big time, Tom. He has. He's as I said, he does take some chances, but he's everything you would want in a centre half. Size him. He's a physical presence in both boxes, and you can see with each game he's stronger and stronger. And at this moment in time, £3 million looks to be a bargain, in my opinion. He's one that I know the model of the club is trying to buy players and obviously work with them, improve them, and then sell them on. He's certainly one that the club could make good money off in the future.
Did you concur with that, Winnie?
Yeah, exactly. I thought like Fernandez and Giga were excellent. I thought what the Celtic had up front with Maeda and the boy come on, I thought the cope were great. And I goes, now there wasn't a lot of players that done a lot wrong, and it's just now you're disappointed with the amount of possession we had. Now, for me personally, I was disappointed when he took Mikey Moore off. I thought that.
You think he was toiling a wee bit energy?
No, I thought no, but I think he still gives it. I think that changed the whole dynamics of the team. When he took Mikey Moore off, I seen the crowd go a bit low, and I just felt now the atmosphere sort of changed, and that was maybe the lead up. Now as you see later on with the penalties, and it sort of deflated a wee bit. But man for man, Giga and Fernandez probably coped with better what we've done lately. Now there's a big call, even Suter out. Now the experience, obviously Tav as well, and that was a big call for the manager. Now we two virtually relatively inexperienced players, but they handled it well.
going forward into next season, that spine of the side is starting to perhaps give you a wee bit of encouragement, whether it's Fernandes, Chukwueze ahead of him, and at the top of the pitch, perhaps big fella Chermiti, or indeed it depends, he might even play too. But, between the sticks, Jack Butland, it's his birthday today, 33 years old today. A clean sheet against Celtic. It was effectively his first clean sheet since the 1st of February against Hibs. Yeah, Liam Kelly came in the cup and had a shutout as well. But from that shape, right through that spine of the team, which is so important, Barry, we're not a million miles away.
No, and you're right. The spine of the team's the most important. That needs to be really rock solid. Then you build round about that. Yep. As you said, Big Fernandes was excellent. Chukwueze, again, I think just give him a bit more time. You can see so much in him. Up top as well, Nadiri and Chermiti. You've mentioned Jack Butland. So, real strong spine of the team. Romans, again, he's impressing every time I see him. But I want to go back to the Mikey Moore. I think Durrant makes a brilliant point. See, even if he is,
that one that he says as well.
If he is tiring a wee bit, I feel if you keep him on, if Celtic see him coming off, they're like, yes, they're rubbing their hands. Because at some stage he can come up with a bit of magic. So I was surprised. I'm always a big believer in keep the difference makers on if you can. Now, we don't know if it's an injury or whatever, but if it's not an injury, if it's just a bit of tiredness, he's going to get a second wind. So, and he's going to obviously cause Celtic problems. I was surprised to see him come off. But the spine of the team is important. It's looking really strong. And hopefully we can add round about that and make it even stronger.
Yeah, it was a great point for you, and I hadn't considered it either.
I know, yeah.
Celtic got a bit of a zing from seeing the talismanic Moore leave, and the fans, our own fans, were a bit, what's going on here, and lost their way a wee bit. I've mentioned the VAR call. Captaincy. Now, John Souttar didn't start. Tavernier didn't start. Apart from the fact we didn't have a Scotsman in the starting 11, it's not been helpful for me if the captain's armband is being shared 3 ways, 2 of whom aren't fixtures.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point you make. I think you need to have somebody where you're never guaranteed to play, but if you're playing at a decent level, that you win the team. Yeah. Apart from an injury or suspension, and that's where you've got to make a decision. I'm a big believer in the captain. Is so important. It is really important. And as you said, it's going between Tav, who's a club captain, then to John Souttar. And if John Souttar obviously got left out on Sunday, it went to Jack Butland. Now, I know them really well. The three of them are really experienced players and good leaders. But yeah, you don't want to see the armband just getting passed about willy-nilly. You need somebody who's going to be there on a regular basis. I'm
going to ask you in a wee while, if you had a former teammate, you could drop ship into the current 11 for the next game or the next run in the league, who that might be. But you can keep that in your mind just for the moment there. For the record, Celtic had only one Scotsman in the starting 11 as well, and that was McCowan. So it's the way the game is going forward. What does the manager do now to get these players lifted ahead of the trip to St Mirren?
Well, if you can't get lifted for the final 9 games, you're in a...
Maybe getting lifted is the wrong term to use this week.
Aye, but you shouldn't need to get lifted or motivated when you're playing with Rangers. Look, again, it's another disappointing weekend. There's no getting away for that. You're at the Cup. We should be going to semi-finals at Hampden. Durrant is right. We should be aiming to get to Cup finals that last day of the season. Now, there's no... You can't rely on anybody else, I don't think. I don't think you can look at Motherwell doing us a favour in Saturday or somebody doing us a favour with beating Hearts or taking points off Hearts. We need to focus on ourselves and making sure we go to St Mirren and get the 3 points and just build for there. I believe there's going to be some twists and turns, but you've got to be focused on yourself and what's in front of you. And we have to win, in my opinion, in 9 games.
This week on the training ground, Ian, will that influence his selection for St Mirren?
Of course it will, because there'll be a lot of people down now, because they'll get it, because obviously we don't know the aftermath of what's going to happen from the game, but the aftermath of losing, getting put out. So you find out your characters now in terms of now what you're going to do, and now we need to go and we need to go on a run now. Simple as. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We maybe get away with defeat or a couple of draws, but that's the most we can do. Hearts are starting to get players back again, so they'll be a bit stronger. and now your Celtic will get their players back. But we just need to focus. We spoke about it a few weeks ago. Focus on ourselves. Make sure our house is what we are, and just get them going. Because they're going to get another great backing again in Saturday now against St Mirren. So we just need to be selfish now. Now blank all the other teams and just focus on Rangers. And Rangers need to go and win games, and then keep that, and then keep putting pressure on. And then with the pressure, as we come now, you go into the later echelons of the league, we'll see who can handle it. But just now, your focus is 3 points. Get back to the captaincy. When you're playing Celtic, you should have 11 captains. Doesn't matter that armband. Just win your job, do your job, win your personal battles. And for a lot of the bit in the games, we've done it. But when you don't score goals against a team and you're on top, then you're 9 times out of 10 you're not winning.
Very valid. Paisley, not a happy hunting ground for us in recent seasons. Last 2 visits, 1-1 and 2-2. We lost there on December 24th, 2-1. So the last 3 visits haven't gone our way. Is this a huge test of character?
It is, and look, they've not been great. And I think if you ask the St Mirren manager or any of the players, since they've won the cup final against Celtic, they've been really poor. I know they get a good result to get into the semi-finals against Partick Thistle, but listen, you know what you're going to get when you go to St Mirren. They're a big, strong team, tight pitched. The pitch is not going to be anywhere near like it as at Ibrox. This is a test of character. There's no doubt. Test of character, a test of personality, and you need to go there and you need to find a way. You need to find a way to win the game, because right up until the split, I know I'm saying we need to win every game, but right up until the split, we need to be bang on it, or it's going to fizzle out this season, which you don't want. You've got yourself into a good position. Let's not let it fizzle out.
Yeah, the fans are still very much behind the team.
Oh, aye.
Because I see on social media demands for tickets for the St Mirren game is huge.
Take a lot of money, Paul.
Yeah, St Mirren, of course, as you mentioned, beat Partick Thistle in the cup. But prior to that, their last win was against Hearts, beginning of February. But again, 11 captains. Do we select 11 captains and tell them to take the responsibility?
I think now this is where the manager Learning's gone. Now we've spoken about he got us back in a position we never thought. Now it was capable of. Now we looked so far out of it, but he's got us back in, and then that's it. And now the pressure comes now. Now we've got one focus: winning the league. That's our one focus: winning the league, winning games, and pleasing the fans who are going to turn out week in and week out as they do every time, and getting them going. Because if we go on a run, the fans will get behind us. And that's our main aim. Just win games now. It's no rocket science. It's nothing tactical, no formations or blah. Just go and win games. As Barry said, individually, win your own battles. Set about people. If you're going to have to battle. That's it. If you're going to have to play. Simple as. No, as I said, no rocket science. Just win a game.
You've both carried the weight of Rangers management in your time. How will Danny Rowe be feeling himself at the moment?
He'll be down, but I always try and use that in a positive way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of noise, obviously, because of the last 2 results against your fiercest rivals. It's how you go and react as a manager, as a coaching staff, and as a playing staff. And look, they've got a full week prep before they go to Paisley, and it's all about making sure you pick the right team, because there'll be a lot of spotlight, because he's made a couple of big decisions, leaving Tav out, leaving John Suter out, and it'll be interesting to see. And I'm sure he'll be looking closely at training this week. Connor Barron, hopefully going to get another full week's training.
Cornelius too.
Cornelius, yep. So there's everybody's fit and available for selection, and I would imagine, or I would like to think, that training will be edgy this week. But that's the way it's got to be all the time at Rangers, and the manager will have big decisions to make to see what team he's going to put out and make sure he get 3 points back up the road to Ibrox.
A lot's been said, Ian, about what he inherited, Danny Rowe inherited after the previous manager's escapades, Russell Martin. I'm not sure we should be comparing Danny Rowe to Russell Martin. I think we've got to set the bar a bit higher than that.
He's set the bar because it's night and day from what the previous manager was. And the previous manager got a lot of things wrong. I think if you're want to talk about the previous manager, it was all about him, not about the team. Yeah. I think Danny Rowe's got a focus on the team balance, everything he wants out of the players. And he's got us back in he's got us back in a position which we thought we were nowhere near. And he's got the backing of the players. It's just now the players just need to believe themselves now. As I said, now it's very easy for us to sit here and go, we can try and do this, and we've got the backing of the fans. But the players that have now realised after the last few games, I think now you look for a reaction after the game. What happened in the now, as I said, in the aftermath, but they'll know a lot more about what is it about playing for Glasgow Rangers, and they've got to stand up, and this is you've got to stand up and be counted, not just the manager, as I said, the fans, but the players need to stand up now. Now it's their game now. They're the only ones. The manager, as I say, can do things and maybe change things, but the players, they win games, and if they're winning games, then they're doing their job right.
There's no distractions now.
Good point.
You've got one title still left to go for. You don't need to worry about going to Hampden where we should be. We should be going to Hampden, but we're not. What's happened's happened. You need to deal with it. That's what happens when you're at Rangers. You need to take it on the shoulder, and you need to move forward. And the full focus now is just the league campaign, because that's all we've got left to win or challenge for.
It's the weekly 5 Stars podcast in conjunction with Stealth Competitions. Get yourself on the Stealth website. You could be very lucky for a very small investment. Great prizes along the way. The 5 Stars VIP site is where to be for many other things as well. Memorabilia. We've got the Legends Gin along the way. We've got events. So much to keep you engaged there. If you get across the YouTube channel and subscribe, you'll get the podcast and so much more as well. We have to go to Celtic Park after the split.
Right.
What kind of atmosphere can we expect?
Well, certainly no any of our fans will be in.
Yeah, it's looking that way, yeah.
That's the way, as you mentioned at the start, rightly so. You need to wait to see the statements from both clubs. But if you're asking me, I think it'll be 62,000 Celtic fans. You'll not have any fans in of your own, which is disappointing. But listen, that is what it is. We'll see. You've still got to go to Celtic Park and Tynecastle, so you've got some tough fixtures coming up. But I try and not look too far ahead, Tom. I'm trying just to focus on
one game at a time.
Aye, and it's all cliche, but you can't let your mind wander. You can't after a disappointing couple of weeks. We need to just focus on what's coming up at the weekend. Albeit St Mirren, third bottom, they're fighting with Kilmarnock, in my opinion, to get into that or got away for that second bottom spot. You know what they're going to, again, I'll say what I mentioned earlier, you're not going to come up against any surprises against a Stephen Robinson team. You know they're well organised. You know they've got a physical presence about them. They know they'll get the ball forward and make you work hard. So the focus is just on Paisley at 12 o'clock. I'm sure it's 12 o'clock kick-off on Sunday. Yep, and just making sure you're ready. No excuses.
After that one, it's Aberdeen at Ibrox with a late kick-off on the Saturday evening. We'll not touch on that one just now, but I just hope that the accommodation in the Broomloan Road stand is available for our season tickets holders who watch the game from that particular vantage point. So again, we'll look at that when we get a wee bit more of a report on the absolute situation. I'm going to throw a wee hand grenade in here as well in this run-in, how it's going to be stop-start. We're heading into the international break after the Aberdeen game. We then have the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup where we won't be involved, which is likely to be another blank weekend. Can we use that to our advantage, Ian?
Of course, in terms now your main focus is getting the results in the games leading up to the break. Then if you get the break and we're still in contention, as I'm sure we will be, then it gives you the opportunity. Sometimes a wee break's not a bad thing. Getting away now, when we were up seeing Danny's family are still not over, so I think there's a lot of commuting, so he might have an opportunity to go and see his family. I think and now the players we've got, they might have a wee opportunity. So sometimes a wee break's not too good, but the main thing before the break is to make sure you're winning any games, and that's the main thing. And getting back to now that you talk about going to Parkhead, we'll just do what Barry's team and Danny Rowe's team done the last two games. Just go and beat them on the rain patch, and that's it, done.
Yeah.
So
if we score goals, we win the game.
Of course you do. And but just go and win games. I don't mind that. If there's 60,000, I'd love things like that. Aye, bring it on.
Thriving.
Of course you do. And Tynecastle, you know what you get at Tynecastle? Great atmosphere on top of you. Just go and win games. And that's, now it's not rocket science, I say, that's what you're paid to do. And that's what's the DNA of Glasgow Rangers, winning
So sort the men
trophies.
for the boys, Barry. It'll sort the men from the boys.
I mean, I'm just thinking about that. Look, it wouldn't bother me if they've got 100,000 fans in the stadium. You know what I mean? It's
You want to get one over.
yeah, you just want to go and beat your rivals. And then you mentioned Tynecastle. For me, it's the best place to go and play.
Great theatre.
It's a brilliant atmosphere. So, yeah, but right. We've got 2 games before the international break. It will be a case of maybe sometimes just let them go and take a break for each other, 3 or 4 days, and then you come back. I'm sure you would have a few behind closed door games, guys catching up. I know you're getting into the later stages of the season, but there'll be still players that you want to keep ticking over. So you've definitely got the advantages, playing, but also you've got some disadvantages. But I'm sure as a manager, he would have a few behind the closed door games just to keep up people ticking over.
For those that may have the momentum getting into these 2 breaks, they might be the reverse. They don't want the games not to become thick and fast.
Exactly. So it works both ways at times. Me personally, I just like playing all the time. But listen, these are the stumbling blocks sometimes you need to come up against and you need to deal with. That's part of an issue if you're not in semi-finals. You've not got games of football, so you need to deal with it in a different way. And I'm sure the club will try and do that.
So 9 cup finals effectively wrapped up any way you like, but we need 27 points
Exactly.
from the 9 games. If I gave you the opportunity to parachute in a former teammate from your playing days in his prime, no, not just now, but when he was in his prime, who would you drop in to the squad right now to benefit Rangers in this crucial and high pressure run in?
The man on my right hand side here, I would have him in the team because he knows what it's all about, knows how to handle us. I call it now the pressure games. And he now, I'm not going to go into it, but he's a prop. Now we talk about the captaincy, there's a proper captain there. And not just because he's sitting here, but I would have him in my team anytime. Because he could control games, influence games, and know when to turn it up and when to turn it down. And that was the sort of influence Barry Ferguson had on his Rangers teams. And just now we're a wee bit, as I say, we turned it up a bit, but we never had that end point. And he'd be the man to make sure the players would get the end point.
I think you'd relish that opportunity, Barry, wouldn't you?
Aye, but I wouldn't mind the 2 who's been in that team. You know what I mean? We need a goal scorer.
Yep.
Yeah. So
There's
10 for McCoy.
There's only one guy that knows where the back of the net is.
I was
As I
thinking
said,
about
they're so dominant. It's just sometimes I think we do look clinical and ruthless in other games where you need somebody like that who just has a knack of being in the right position at the right time
and knows the fixture.
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Yeah, I think
He used to say it was luck, but he used to anticipate things. He had a feeling, McCoy.
Right.
Unbelievable. And then I had lucky so and so. No. If you watch his
6
movements, he's away before now. He'd be brilliant, because he'd be talking about, away today now, you're having a steak, but now he's away. And then the centre half, now I'm having onion rings before he's away. He's brilliant at things like that. Different class.
I thought Chuck One had benefited from the first experience of an Old Firm game, and then that showed when he came off the bench in the cup tie. Mention McCoy. Now we have to say today is the start of Cheltenham Racing Festival.
Aye.
And no doubt McCoy he'll be absolutely.
He's over in Madrid doing the game tonight.
Give you a couple of tips.
No, I sent him some this morning, but I spoke to him, but he was getting a flight to Madrid.
Right.
He's doing Atletico Madrid, Tottenham. I think he's doing there Thursday, Friday. So I think he's giving Brazil a break for a few days. Well, I think he'll need a break for Brazil. And but he's over Madrid, and I think he's at a game tomorrow. But he's definitely, I think Thursday, Friday, he's definitely doing it at Cheltenham.
He'll be Guinness Shandy.
Oh, he loves it. Is it the Guinness Village? He loves it in there.
I remember in the days of Souness, I think Alistair went to Cheltenham against the manager's wishes, and he was heavily fined at that time. On both parts, what was the most unusual fine you experienced? But would that be right that you went to Cheltenham?
Yeah,
against
it was actually, it was a Wednesday, it was a day off, but the gaffer asked us to rest up. He never caught me, thank God.
Were you there too?
I was there. And but he was, of course, he was pictured. And but it was actually his day off, because we went down and then come back up. I mean, wasn't it? No, now we're down and staying over. But the gaffer said, I wanted you to rest up. So there was a bit of, they weren't getting on. They weren't
So he was using that.
They
Just
weren't kissing pals at that time.
Right.
But the Algie and the Gaffer used to have mad fines. I remember we won the league at Pataudry and they fined me and Coisty a league bonus. We just won the league that day.
Yeah.
And they fined us. I had an altercation. He wanted Coisty to get married, but Coisty wasn't having it, so he wasn't ready for marriage at that time. But it was just won the league at Pataudry and then you're called down the front of the bus and said you're not getting your bonus. So we just started laughing, and Soonest was a wee bit, what are you laughing at? What can we do?
just play with the flow.
So we just opened the car lager and went back up the back of the bus.
It's part of it goes with the territory being a footballer that, you know, if the manager wants to bring you down a peg, he does it financially.
Man, I've had a right few fines in my days. But the best one, no best,
Yeah.
but the one that made me grow up a bit was when I was in the reserve team,
Right.
stroke U team of Glasgow Cup. And it went into penalties against Celtic and I just walked straight up the tunnel and didn't watch the penalties. And I remember Walter Smith coming in, I was only 18 and I get fined 2 weeks' wages. Even if you don't like it, you still stand there.
Yeah.
It was a wake-up call and you respect, albeit it'll be hard, you go and shake their hands. So that's the one that sticks out for me.
It quite hurt you a wee bit at that age, losing your money, but it not.
Aye, because you were on buttons, you were only an apprentice, you know what I
You
mean?
tell your mum there's no big money this week.
74.50. That's what you're on.
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, it was a dent.
Oh. Yeah, quite different
But
nowadays.
that was a wake up call to think, right, do you know what? Even in defeat, you need to be a man. You need to put your hand out and, albeit it's sore, you need to just shake it and move on. And now I learnt, even in defeat,
quickly.
aye, you need to stand up and just show you're the bigger man, basically.
So it's the Mutual Appreciation Society
Yeah.
for the run in here. You've selected Ian to be alongside you in the engine room, and Ian wants you there to be the enforcer and the man that makes things happen as the captain of the club. I'll give you one other free one then, because you've gone for each other. I've thrown it, or you've thrown in Coisty. The one that made me think today would be Richard Goff. If we were needing somebody
No,
to
but
in the
I
trenches.
think we're fine defensively. I know he'd be great, but I've already got a captain, and you may think about it. McCoy, Boyd, Kenny Miller, get you a goal.
Yeah.
Now, and I'm talking about old firm goals. And,
as long as it's for us.
yes, and that's what I'm just saying. So now you might think it. Now I think centre half. I was very impressed with Giga and Fernandez. I mean, and there was a lot of pressure on now because Maeda, but they handled it, and we're fine at back. I know you're comfy golfing, but I've got the captain in there, so I'll be looking for a forward. Yeah,
It's got to be a forward. You've got to goals win your games. He's right. Coisty, a Boyd, a Mark Catley.
De Boer.
Aye.
Not the goalie, just Butland will get the job done.
Listen,
I
see
think
when
the goalie-
it went to penalties,
Found
I
you.
was more than delighted now because obviously Jack's record, you never get near him, and it's a shame because his record up to that has been great.
Sucky
Do
penalties.
you know he practice every day?
Is that right?
Aye, every day.
What, bag of balls and get a young player to come in.
Aye, or even the boys, I'll go and bang into him and he's brilliant. He focuses big time on them. And his record is genuinely in open play. His
That's
record's
magic.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And I was like Durrant, I'm thinking penalties here. This is right up a big man's street.
If memory serves me correct, he saved a penalty, the first ever penalty from James Tavernier when they were both playing in England. I think he was at Birmingham and Tav was on loan somewhere from Newcastle at the time. Anyway, that's one for another day. Penalties. I'm not going to ask you, you're a fan of them, but are they the best option we've got to determine a winner when we're in a cup tie environment?
Once it's
I
done, you
don't know
go.
what Durrant thinks. I like the replay.
Just
See, it goes to extra time.
Yeah.
No winners go to a replay.
the demands financially on fans. Is that perhaps the consideration?
Again, that's a good point. Obviously, the way the world is now, it's really expensive to go at the football. But if that wasn't going to be an issue in terms of the pricing, I like the old school way. I liked the replays.
I don't know what happened if it
Oh, I know.
after the weekend.
I
Played
don't think
in the-
that would be a good
We
idea.
might play in the moon.
Talking penalties, made me think. I thought it was a golden goal, but I was wrong. Everton in Dubai,
Yeah.
the British Championship, but it was something ridiculous, like 8-7 or something.
No, it's worse than that. It was
Is that right?
12-11.
Goodness,
Honestly, it was the time, and it was over. It was by midnight before we finished.
1987.
1987. It was the year before Celtic played Liverpool, the two champions of England and Scotland. Then we played Everton in Dubai, and we were 2-0 down. We got back to 2 each, and it was 12-11 in penalties. Brilliant.
Kept score.
Actually, it's weird you said that. I actually seen that on YouTube not long ago, 3 weeks ago. I was watching it. Aye.
You scored in, didn't you?
Yeah.
And Dubai was like a desert then,
Oh,
wasn't
it's
it?
honestly,
There
God, there was nothing.
in
It was just, it was a.
Maybe it could be like that in a couple of weeks again. That's a different
But
story.
the hotel was just surrounded it, and just this hotel, a casino, and then you drive about 20 minutes. There's this like Oasis, a stadium,
Yeah.
all sand, then just a pitch, and it now
Amazing.
then it always look at it now.
Quite an experience in those days. I wonder if the golden goal was worth going back on, or you take 2 players off every 5 minutes unless there's a goal. You end up with 5 aside. It's getting a bit daft, isn't it? Aye.
But apparently, it's just becoming now. It's if it works for you, then you're delighted. But it becomes a bit of a lottery, doesn't it? You know. But listen, if you're asking me now, the modern day football player should be scoring for 12 yards.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we missed them.
It just comes into my head. Man, I remember missing 2 in one game.
Against Dundee.
Aye, and we got a third one.
Arteta scored it. Yeah.
And 6 games to go at the end of the season, we dropped 2 points, and I thought I'd killed my team.
Seriously.
Aye, that was a tough week.
So low.
Oh, fie.
Who lifted you?
My teammates were good, but you've got to do it yourself. You've got to have inner strength, haven't you?
You got that.
But I remember getting battered, and rightly so, because you missed 2 penalties.
Densmart.
Aye, and I was just desperate for the next game, and we win the next game. But see, going down that bus for Dens Park to Ibrox, I thought I had blown it for the boys.
Dundee did well again, getting a big result. Then they beat High Flying Motherwell.
Elvis is getting results.
Yeah. So it's getting a wee turn out of them, that's for sure.
Seen that third penalty came, all the boys were looking at me.
Did you think about it?
Go and do one. There's no chance.
Yeah.
No chance.
No,
Imagine missing the third penalty to get a point.
That's what we're thinking about. In the next game where the team were awarded a penalty, who took it? Do you recall?
That was Arteta was then on.
Again, that was him.
Aye, because I had a good record. I had about 14, 15 in a row, and then bang, 2 in one game.
What was your psychology for penalty kicks? Did you have psych the goalie out, or did you just put the laces through it? Did you always have a plan?
No, it was just a case of just where you felt you were going to put it during the game.
You never change your mind.
Aye.
No, if we look at the goalkeeper and see now, then I just try and keep it as nearest to the post as I can. Just keep. I always kept him on the deck. I never went for corners. I always kept him on the deck. I think you've got a better chance if it's on the deck.
Never a Panenka? Never a Panenka?
I wouldn't do one of them. No.
Remember Coisy done one of them? Trying to keep nearly got it.
Was it against Ayr United, maybe?
Yeah, that was a Panenka. And then the boy had an outrageous bet on against Stranraer to win 9-0. Coisy missed a penalty last minute to make it 9-0.
Finished at 8-0. Boy, that's a right few bucks.
And next one in the front page of the Mail, Super Ali.
Yeah.
Speroni, remember him? That was a goalkeeper.
Yes, yeah. Julie. Not to Crystal Palace.
That's him.
Dundee.
That's him.
Italian goalkeeper. Yeah.
Macaroni, no Speroni.
Yeah. It's a 5-star podcast in conjunction with Stealth Competitions VIP site for 5 stars, and of course subscribe to the YouTube channel. So much going on.
Hi guys, we are back again this week with another exciting competition. This week we are giving you the chance to win a boxed and signed football boot by the one and only legend that is Brian Loudrop. So if you want the chance to win this, head over to the site stealthcompetitions.co.uk and grab your tickets now.
We're almost running out of time today. It's just kind of disappeared. It's a pressure pot of the final fixtures for Rangers Football Club and the run in there. And a slight departure. We've gone through the A to Z, so we've no longer got the alphabet to consider. But I've come up with another one.
Roman numerals or something.
Here we go.
Is it now?
Roman Newton, certainly not. Certainly not. Where I'm going here is your dinner guests. You're hosting a dinner party, and you're both allowed 6 special guests to join you for dinner. They can be from anywhere. Football, entertainment, singers, movie stars, politicians.
6 plus me, 7.
7.
6.
Yeah, lucky 7.
Dallas cheerleaders.
So today,
I'd go the King.
look for your first 2, and next week you get time to think about the other 4.
I'd go King Charlie.
Whom?
King Charlie.
The current?
Aye, and Prince William. I would love to meet them. I've never met them.
Really?
Aye.
His photo hangs in the dressing room yet now, eh?
Who gave you your...
I couldn't make it
Best
because we had Scotland games. You only get 2 dates. You can't, if you can't make the 2 dates, it's a Lord Lieutenant that gives you.
Right.
Aye.
That was
So I was never going to. I was obviously I was desperate to meet the Queen, but obviously she's not here. I would go King Charles and Prince William. Aye.
So the first two then
Aye, I
at your
would like.
table.
Aye.
The
Prince
current
William
king.
looks to me if he's.
Aston Villa fan.
Aye,
He loves his football.
Aye, loves his
Aye.
football. I like the way he carries himself.
That may be a good debate. Birmingham, at your
Aye.
time there, and he's the Villa fan. Yeah. Well, you've set the bar high already, have you not? Only the future
All time favourite.
king of.
I'd love to get I know the Aldridge no ways, but I'd love to get the Aldridge back for now get him back in, and I'd love to meet Jack Nicholson. I think
One flew over the cuckoo's nest.
just Jack Nicholson. I swear to God, I love all his films and all that. It's just his expression, and that. I just think he would be. I guess now having him in your table and all that. I'd fill it full of crackpots. I'd have the Dallas cheerleaders serve us all dinner and all that.
You don't just get them to serve you, yeah?
No,
Bring the wine round.
Well, I can't get them to sit with us, or they get to service.
So you've 4, another 2 next week and 2
Oh.
the following week as we head into the
Oh,
international.
this is
break.
mouth watering already.
Aye, I've got 2 brilliant movie ones for you.
I love it.
Aye, and 2 sports people. That's what I would do.
Fantastic. One to look forward to on the 5 Stars podcast. All I can say is wish you luck if you're having a wee punt at Cheltenham. Ian's got a couple of tips. And for me, thanks for your company as ever, boys.
Pleasure, son.
Brighter days ahead.